Hey everybody, it's me, MiaFran again. Welcome back to my channel and to another Fruits Basket episode review video with Chantal. And today we're going to be reviewing episode 21. Oh my god. Can't believe it's 21 episodes. Holy shit.
I know.
It's insane.
We've been here for a good minute, man.
I know we've been... I'm proud of us sticking to getting videos out every week. Every other week. Like, even with everything going on. So, oh man, this episode, what else do I have to say other than, like, I was crying, like, the entire episode pretty much. Like, fat tears. Like, I had to stop a couple of times because it was getting really hard to watch. Because, like, not that I had forgotten, because, like, I knew that we were gonna get, like, the flashbacks and everything, like, to, when Yuki, turned into a rat in front of his friends and stuff for, like, that first time when they got their memories erased and stuff. Like, I knew that was gonna happen, but, like, some of this other stuff I was not prepared. And it really just kind of, like, I don't know, really affected me emotionally. Because, like, Yuki's been my favorite Fruits Basket character since the very beginning when I first read the manga. So, like, seeing all this happen and, like, kind of, like, trying not to relate, like, not that I relate to the story, obviously, like, that would be awful, but, like, just, like, some of the feelings, trying to, relating to that, it was really hard. But also, it's like, I don't want to watch this character that I love, like, go through all this shit. Like, I know he's gone through this shit. I don't know if I want to see that.
Oh, man, it was hard to watch, because, like, you can see him as he gets older, the more, like, he gets super depressed, and he just is sinking so far gone that he starts to believe, like, well, I can't get out of this dark hole anymore.
Yeah.
There's just no fucking way, and I'm like, no.
So if I cry during this review video, I'm so sorry, guys. You're gonna hear my ugly crying voice. And you'll know that I'm crying because, one, I'll be sniffling a lot, and, like, my voice gets really shaky when I cry. So, yeah. So I'm gonna try to compose myself. Because I don't like crying in front of other people. It's like, even just over the phone, like, I'm gonna get really self-conscious. Even though we're, like, besties, like, I'm still gonna be like, if I cry, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry. But so I'm gonna try to, I'm remembering how I felt while watching it and remembering the scenes, and it's like, yeah, so...
Let's see. I guess let's start off with Akito, little tiny Akito.
Yes. Right.
Let's start off with this beach first.
So, you can kind of see the manipulation is already starting. Right from the get-go.
And he says, like, Yuki was saying, it wasn't bad as it was, like, today. And you can kind of see that because, like, the minute Akito is, like, yelling at Yuki for just, like, coughing, which I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, like, he can't help it. He's a sickly child.
But, like, after a while, I guess, I don't know what the fuck is happening with Akito, but I guess he realizes, like, oh shit, like, maybe I shouldn't have been so harsh.
Yeah. Like, so you can kind of see at the beginning, like, Akito was kind of, I guess, trying to be
nice, more self-aware.
More, like, considerate, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, again, Akito already kind of brings Yuki into this, like, false sense of security when they first meet. Even though Yuki is already, like, afraid the very moment he first sees Akito. But he kind of, like, because there's the two, like, differing voices, like, of older Yuki and younger Yuki. Like, saying, like, oh, it was, like, something good, it was actually something really bad.
Yeah.
Or he's, like, saying, like, this is what it really was.
It's like, I wanted to run towards Akito, I wanted to run away. It's like, damn, like, it was really conflicting, which, props to Shimazuki, man.
Yeah, and it was just, like, you can see, Akito hugs him and is, like, being, like, really nice. And the adults kind of see Akito crying as, like, the sign of, like, oh, this is gonna be, like, a wonderful relationship, because when Akito was conceived, the older kids, like Ayame, Shigure, and them, like, they cried when that happened. and when Akito was born and stuff. So, because that's like the effect of like the bond. So they kind of they see it as that, even though like clearly it's more like out of an instinctual fear instead of like euphoric, I guess, is what I would equate it to. Like the other characters when they cried, it's you can tell it's not like what they're describing.
It kind of made me think of like what Rin said, like, oh, to outsiders it might seem like this most beautiful thing ever, but to us it's like the most horrible thing ever.
Yeah.
And the fact that this poor baby boy Yuki was around Akito pretty much like 24/7, I'm like, Jesus Christ. That's like the only person he's ever really interacted with.
Right, and you can tell when they show like the like an example of like their New Year's when they're growing up, where they're when they're all sitting around and everyone's kind of talking with each other and stuff. Like you see, you know, Hatsuharu and Kisa and Kagura like talking with each other and hanging out, and Ayame and Shigure like talking to each other with Rin's there too, and then like Hattori's with Momiji, and Yuki's just like sitting right next to Akito like doing nothing. Like even the act of like looking over at his own brother, who he says like I had never even spoken to him, to the person they said was my older brother, and they like look at him with this like, I don't like, they're judging him, and he kind of like snaps back and is like, oh, okay, like I can't look at them. Like he's so afraid.
It made me
like
sad.
He doesn't know how to interact. And then the whole example of him going to school, and you know those kids in his class asking him like if he wants to play with them, and he's like so excited to like make actual friends, because at that point he's been told by Akito like, well, like you're useless, like nobody likes you. Like everybody hates you. Yeah,
because Yuki was like explaining how Akito basically used to be. And he's like, I don't know what happened, but I just remember one, Shigure always being the one to comfort Akito. What the fuck?
Yeah,
I mean, we'll get to that. I don't want to say too much, but I think me saying what the fuck should give you guys a hint. Y'all manga readers.
Yeah, we'll get to when that happens.
Yeah. And then the minute that basically Akito had snapped.
Yeah.
And at first it seemed like Akito was gonna drag Yuki with him, like, oh, we're like the same, so you should be like an all black too. And then like something like just changes that instant, and Akito's like, no, you're not the same, I'm better than you, like you're just a useless rat. I'm like,
even
what the heck?
Your own parents didn't even want you. They gave you to me as my toy. Like you were basically abandoned, and like this person hates you and this person hates you, everybody hates you, and which, you know, to him, like that must mean the truth, right? Because he's been told Akito is God and he's the rat and he has to do what God says. And it doesn't help because he's the rat, so like, you know, the rat's the first in the zodiac, so of course like everybody's gonna be told like the rat's the most special, blah blah blah. Like they're already putting him up on this pedestal before he's even born.
Yeah.
That like, you know,
and everyone's like
greatest.
Talking smack about the parents too. They're like, oh, the parents are well off because, you know, Yuki's the rat, and since they're close to Akito and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening to kind of see like what that relationship was like before, you know, Yuki moved out and moved in with Shigure and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and you even see like he goes and tries to make friends with Kyo. Like
Kyo, dude.
That is what really, really made me have to stop watching it at that point, because I was like, oh no.
Dude, the minute that Kyo just like lashed out at him, I was like, Kyo, you stupid idiot. Like I was yelling at him, like, you idiot.
Dude,
I was like, what the fuck? He just wanted a friend. I'm pretty sure Kyo wanted a friend, and he just like rejected this poor sweet baby boy.
And you know what? And it's this. It's manipulation by all these adults around them in this family. All this like terrible traditional like hierarchy that this whole family is built for themselves. Like,
Yeah.
they every time they tell these kids as they grow up when they're Zodiac members, like, this is the pecking order and this is how it needs to be. And, you know, you really should respect this person, or, you know, oh, don't you hate that person? The rat manipulated the ox. Like, you should hate that person, right? Or, like, the rat, like, lied to the cat in the story. You should totally hate him, even though, like, they've never even fucking met each other until now. But they already hate each other. Or at least Kyo already hates Yuki.
Yeah, poor Yuki, because I feel like in that moment, I think he felt like the only person who could probably understand like what I'm probably going through is probably fucking Kyo. But fucking Kyo
I know.
to ruin it.
When that first happened, I was like, fuck you, show. Like, I had to stop there because I was crying like so much. I was like, oh my god. Like Kyo, you dummy. Like, you perpetuated this too. I mean, he didn't know, obviously, but it's just like,
it's just all the shit that he's gone through too.
He let all of those emotions, plus being told that he's useless as the cat in general and that it's the rat's fault, like, cloud his judgment instead of trying to get to know Yuki, because, like, they're the same fucking age. Like, if they didn't know each other, they would probably, like, be friends, you know? Like, it just, like, at that point, I was like, I had to stop, because it was too much for me. And then it didn't help that, like, later on in the episode, when Yuki's kind of reflecting on everything, and he's like, all I wanted was, like, a friend. Like, I wanted him, talking about Kyo, I wanted him to like me. I wanted to be his friend. I wanted him to be my friend.
It's like,
and I'm just like, oh my god. That was, like, so hard to hear, especially, like, after everything else that happened in the episode. I was like, I got, like, fuck you, show. Like, why are you doing this to me?
Because this is the first time we get to see, like, his point of view perspective out of, like, this whole situation. Because we've already seen, like, Tohru's perspective and, like, hearing it through that way, and then same thing with Kyo, but now this is, like, the first time, like, we get to see, like, exactly how he felt at the time, what he experienced, what his feelings were. And it's just like, god fucking damn it. And, like, we've seen it several times, the parallels between Yuki and Kyo, and, like, how they're, like, jealous of one or the other. But man, seeing it with Yuki, all the kids are basically, like, running towards Kyo and, like, are just surrounding him, while you have Yuki just looking from a distance, and he's just, like, all alone by himself, and, like, he wants to be a part of that, but he doesn't know how.
Yeah, he doesn't know how, and he's, like, afraid if he does, like, you know, oh, well, they're just gonna hate me already.
It reminded me so much of, like, the first ED, because you get to see, like, pretty much that exact moment in, like, a little kid, like, just watching from the window, which I thought was Akito, but I think now, like, seeing this, I'm like,
it's definitely Yuki, because I remember in the manga that being, like, a really important thing of, like, him watching everybody from the window while everybody, like, was, you know, all happy-go-lucky, and he's stuck there.
Because in the ED, they kind of just, like, blur who it is. You just see, like, a little shadow.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's probably Akito. But no. This episode fucking was like, no, bitch, you were wrong. That was Yuki. I'm just like,
and like,
so that first whole ED, man, is just basically about fucking Yuki, and I feel like it just connected that first ED with this episode, and it just
it was telling you what's to come.
But it just flew over me. I was like, oh, this is such a cute ED. Little did I know.
Yeah. Little did you know we were gonna end up here.
Right.
But that was really sad to watch. Like,
and even in the New Year's, like, everybody has, like, their own little group.
They have their own, like, little cliques, like, of, you know, talking to each other and everything, and it's just, like...
It's kind of sad, but also it's, like, relatable, because I feel like everyone kind of experienced that.
Yeah.
We're just watching from a distance, and everyone's interacting with one another, and you're like, I want to be friends with everybody, but, like, it's kind of like, I kind of felt like, it's like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they, you know, when Yuki tries to interact with Kyo for the first time and he sees, like, Kyo's, like, looking in, because those fucking maids or whatever are talking about, like, oh, did you see the cat child is outside? He's probably feeling so left out, blah blah blah. And
Basically talking
like,
shit.
yeah, and you know, like Yuki's curious, like, oh, like I've never met him before.
Maybe,
But
he'll be my friend.
he'll be my friend, you know, maybe we've got something in common, you know, he feels left out, I was kind of feeling left out, like,
Everyone seems to hate us.
yeah, and, like, I definitely through my tears, was like, why didn't you just tell him this now? Like, just tell him.
Right?
Like, god damn it. Just, like, you like, just tell him now that you wanted to be friends with him back then, like, you weren't trying to start shit.
He can't, man.
But I think at this point, it's like...
It's kind of too late.
Their relationship has to become better in a different way. Which I will not reveal if that's gonna happen or not, but...
Yeah, they still have some growing up to do in any case.
Yeah.
Before they can admit, like, hey, remember that time?
Yeah. But
also, it was really weird just seeing, like, everyone being, like, little tiny babies, and then you see, like, fucking Hattori, Shigure, and all of them, like, as they look like adults.
Yeah.
And like, this is fucking weird.
And Kureno, like, yeah, all four of them are, like, you know, they're like teenagers at that point.
Yeah. I'm just like, they look so big compared to these, like, tiny little
just like little kids.
They seem so out of place. Like, the scene was, like, very sad, but just, like, seeing all of them in the background,
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck is this?
And then they had to remind us, like, oh, there were times where I reached out to other people and, like, nobody listened to me, like, when he first tried to reach out to Ayame the first time. Which, you know, I was comforted by the thought of remembering, like, no, he's trying to, like, remedy that now, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Like, I don't feel as sad watching that, because I know that, like, they're actually trying to, like, now have a relationship. I mean, he's doing more than their fucking mom, so...
Right.
Well, the whole flashback of him running away with the hat. Oh my god, also the whole hat thing. Like, seeing Kyo just kind of, like, be like, you know what, fuck you, you can keep it. Like, I don't want it now that you've touched it.
I know, and he was just, like, gently, like,
He was like, here, like, I'm gonna give it back to you. And he's just like, fuck you, basically. Which, again, you know, I get it, like, at this whole point, he's been told, like, you're supposed to hate each other.
Yeah, he was even jealous of the fact that he had, like, a loving, caring father, and I'm like, little
yeah,
do
dude,
you know.
Yeah, dude, it was, like, that was really hard to watch, too, because, like, he has an example of that with Kyo, and then later with Tohru, because he's like, oh, wow, some parents actually care about their kids.
Mm-hmm. Like, technically he's not his parent, but that's the best parent he'll have, man.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, blood relation or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, to Yuki, like, you know, that's
something.
like, that's a loving familial relationship there. Like, Kyo has
compared
somebody.
to what he has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doesn't help that fucking Akito too comes in when he's literally sick and, like, can't get up, and starts, like, talking in his ear and telling him, like, all this horrible shit.
Yeah, like, asking, like, so are you gonna die?
Like, you'll be better off if, like, you died.
Like,
And it's like, no.
nobody's gonna miss you.
And you can see his eyes just, like, deteriorate slowly, and it's like, I don't like it.
That sucks. Because, you know, he's putting on a front when he's like, oh, is Yuki okay? Like, I think I'm gonna go comfort him.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, Akito, that's so sweet of you. What a great person you are.
No.
And he's just like, no. No, he's gonna go talk shit.
I'm like, it's all lies.
And he does. It's just like... But the whole flashback with Tohru, it's... You know, we got to see his perspective.
Of what happened that day.
Of what happened. So, like, he runs away. He just decides, he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah. He finally got, like, the little bit of, like, courage.
He's like, you know what, fine, if everybody thinks I'm useless and I'm not supposed to be around, then I'm just gonna leave, and everything's gonna be better, you know? Then maybe, like, because he even mentions, he's like, well, maybe if I leave, Kyo will get some of that happiness back that he deserves. Like, maybe that anger towards me will go away if I'm gone.
Yeah, he's like, nobody's gonna miss me anyway, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, so he just kind of runs and doesn't stop until we see that Toru's missing, and her mom is like freaking the fuck out, like wondering where she is. She wants to go look for her. She's telling the police like, if you're not gonna do anything, I'm gonna go look for my kid.
Which her description of Toru is like,
she's just a cute,
like trying to
she's
help.
just a cute little girl. They're like, can you please describe her? She's just like, she has cute hair and a cute face, and she's a cute little girl. She's just cute. And they're like, that doesn't really describe her. But you know, she's a frustrated, scared parent. Like anybody would, you know, be like that. If their child went missing, they don't know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's in the very early morning. Nobody's around.
But Yuki's like, wait a minute.
I thought I remember seeing a little girl. And he goes to find her and doesn't say anything to her. He just kind of like leads her home.
Yeah, because what he was thinking, he was like, oh crap, let me go tell her mom. And like that instant Toru was like, I'm gonna go follow him.
Yeah. And like she's close behind him and he's like, oh shit, like this little girl is following me. Like I can't let her catch up to me because she might like cling on to me, and if that happens I'm gonna transform. He's like, I need to really be wary because I don't want what happened last time to happen again. And he eventually leads her to her mom, gives her the hat, as we've seen a few times now already.
And then he transforms into this cute little rat.
Into the rat form because he's really tired and gets really weak. And since he's a little kid, like the exhaustion just kind of overwhelms him. And as we know, whenever they get exhausted, or if they're not hugged by the opposite sex or anything, if they get really exhausted or tired, you know, they can transform. So that's why he transformed. If anyone was confused about that. He was running all over the goddamn place. But yeah, but he cries because, you know, it's like, because he was happy that he was happy to see that you know, somebody found the person who cares about them. But he also kind of makes a comment like, at that moment, that was a moment when I knew I was actually needed by somebody for something.
Yeah,
like Tohru needed everything. Him to. Yeah, Tohru needed him to help her get back home.
He's like, it's okay if she doesn't remember me, and then I'm like, but she remembers, and that just like hits harder because he didn't expect her to remember.
Yeah, because you know, he's just probably like, oh, it's probably just, you know, to her it's gonna be a really faint memory. She probably won't even remember that it happened because it was so long ago.
But now he knows.
But he knows because she kept the hat. Yeah, and because she kept the hat, and he even says, he's like, I didn't even realize that it was her that we'd already met before until just recently when you see the flashback of when he sees the hat in her room.
Yep.
And then you get to that point, and Manabe's like, dude, you haven't even said anything.
That was hilarious because he has like this whole inner monologue, and you can see like the sun finally sets, and Manabe's like, are you gonna say anything, dude?
Like, are you gonna tell me, bro? And then Yuki's like, oh, sorry, I got caught up in like a childhood memory. It wasn't a great memory at all, but I was thinking about that. And then he kind of like, he just confesses at that point what he's been needing to say, like for the past like season, basically the past few episodes pretty much, in what he sees in Tohru and why he needs her. And you flash back to like all the times where he's like, well, she listened to me and she was there for me, and she gave me strength, and she you know, like she told me how good I was, and like, you know, that, you know, she was very positive and, you know, was always encouraging me and everything. And she was the one thing that I needed. She's my beloved. And you're just like, oh, at that point, I feel like all the anime only people are like, oh my god, like, holy shit, like, what's gonna happen? And then he confesses that what he sees in Tohru, like this love that he has for her, is that of a mother. Because he doesn't have one. So it's a motherly love. He's not in love with her. So sorry, 11-year-old me reading the manga for the first time.
Right.
He's not in love with her. I mean, this whole time, like, we've seen that that's basically the case. We've just kind of confirmed that now.
Yeah.
But
they've been hinting at it.
yeah, but that's still really important. That's a feeling that, like, you know, usually you would share that with a parent. And since he can't, like, I feel like it's more special than it normally would be in terms of, like, a relationship. Like, it's more special than a romantic one in terms because, like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like, it's more than that.
Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about when he says, like, Rin and I have something in common. Like, we're both looking for a motherly figure in our lives, and that's Tohru. She's the mother they never had. In terms of, like, being encouraging and, you know, giving good advice and always being there for them and everything. It's so deep. Because now it's like, oh, okay, well then, like, romantically, like, oh, what's gonna happen now? Well, I mean, clearly, Tohru and Kyo have, you know, some unspoken feelings about each other.
Tohru's still trying to figure out hers. She's like, I wonder why I'm feeling this way.
Yeah, she's still definitely trying to figure out her feelings. Clearly, we know Kyo's in love with her, duh. I think it's safe to say at this point that, like, they're hinting, like, who Yuki's, romantic love interest is gonna be. It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
At this point. Because he's always, like, asking about Machi and, like, seems really interested in her and wants to get to know her, so, like, there you go, everybody. Like, it's confirmed pretty much now. I mean, sorry if, like, you really didn't see that coming, but it was really fucking obvious. With, like, all the hints they've been dropping this entire season. I mean, not saying that all that's gonna happen, like, right this second. You know, we still have to see all these other feelings get worked out and other things, but
everything still has to develop.
Yeah, but this episode was just really tough.
It was. The next week, I think, is gonna be Yuki too, because we hear his voice. Which I'm like, God fucking damn it.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happens next, but I can't for the life of me, because I'm still thinking about what happened in this episode.
Yeah.
But I also think this episode is a really good example of just how manipulative and abusive that, like, Akito really can be with everybody. I mean, it's at different levels for everyone, and it's different things. But, you know, I mean, Yuki, I feel like if we're gonna rank, like, who's had it the worst with Akito, is definitely Yuki. Rin's probably, like, a close second. And then, I guess, you know, everybody else who's been, like, you know, horribly injured by Akito is also, like, up there. So, like, Hattori counts, Kisa counts. It just kind of, like, shows you just how awful a person Akito really is. Yeah, it's like, dude, how much further can you go? And then, of
Looks
course,
like Akito doesn't care.
Yeah, and then, of course, like, Kureno's also, like, under Akito's, like, manipulation, too.
It's almost like he got replaced with Yuki, kind of. At least that's what
or he replaced Yuki with Kureno.
Yeah,
like, clearly, it's not as, I guess, physical in terms of, like, hitting and stuff. As, like, with Yuki. Or, like, with Rin. It's definitely a manipulative relationship that's not good. And, you know, Kureno feels like he can't get out of it, obviously. You know, that's why he's not reaching out to Uo-chan. So, Akito, I'm sure, if not in these last few episodes, I'm sure definitely, of course, in Season 3 we're gonna get backstory for that, which is also really fucked up. Like, I'm not saying that these are good reasons, but there are reasons that Akito is the way that he is. And again, it all goes back to the fucking parents. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not sure if we're gonna get that, like, quite soon in terms of, like, these last episodes of Season 2, but definitely in Season 3, we're probably gonna delve into that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch this episode again for a good while. I still need to catch up on the dubbed episodes, but, like, again, I really don't want to cry.
You're gonna be, like, ugly subbing with the dub episodes. That's all I'm gonna tell you. It's great. It's not great, but it's great because it's, like, great performances.
I can only experience these emotions for so long before, like, I also want to run away. And just keep running. I think we're good.
I think so too.
Okay then. Well, thanks for joining me once
No
again.
problem.
It's always
a fun time.
yeah, it's always definitely a fun time. And thank you guys for listening and for tuning in every week or every other week rather for our Fruits Basket episodes here on my channel or on Chantal's channel every other week as well. Really appreciate it if you guys would thumbs up the video, share it, you know, leave a comment what you thought about the episode. Did you cry as much as I did, which was a lot? Or do you have, you know, a soul made of steel? But if you guys really like this video, please subscribe if you really enjoyed it. Subscribe to Chantal as well. We make some pretty good content, I think. Very similar. We also have a podcast channel where we make podcast episodes every single month. And our newest episode should be out by the end of the month, hopefully, crossing fingers.
Everything works out.
Yeah, so yeah, go check that out. Follow us on Twitter. All the links are in the description below as well as in the end card. But thank you guys once again so much for listening and watching. And as always, have fun, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. So bye!
Bye!